Coming. Morning, Mrs. Pugh. Harold here. Oh, you did? Friday? No, I wasn't here Saturday either. I was helping William clean the belfry. A what? A cablegram? Can they do that? From a ship at sea? Oh, remarkable. Who do you think it's from? That must be his uncle. You know, the second brother that went to America in the 20s. Oh, dear, must I, Mrs. Pugh? Personally? Well, of course I'm not afraid of Sir Henry. But it is quite a journey up to the Hall. And he is eccentric. Well, I mean to say you never know what might happen. Oh, very well, then. I'll deliver it. What's it say? Well, yes, I suppose I should write it down. Stop one moment and I'll see if I can get hold of a form. We did have one or two. Mrs. Finchley Gossett used to get one from her son in Australia on her birthday before she died.
I brought it right away, Sir Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
November the 7th.
What is it, Father?
Incompetent klutz. I suppose it's too much to hope that those petty pocket czars in the post office could deliver a telegram on time just for once. Instead of playing ducks and drakes with it and pushing it all over England.
What's it say?
Incredible inefficiency. Why, it's criminal to delay a matter of this urgency. Uncle George caught an earlier boat. He left New York last Thursday. He arrives tomorrow evening.
Oh, that's awkward, isn't it? Won't leave you too much time to get things ready. Why didn't he let you know?
Oh, come on, Albert.
What's this?
Letter of your sister Constance. Pack of lackadaisical milksops. Comes of being spoon-fed with all this television pap. Albert, I'll have to make other arrangements.
Yes, sir.
Where are you going?
Oh, to the greenhouse. I rather thought I'd see if the frost had affected my sophistropody actors.
My boy, there's a time and place for everything. Try and concentrate on the matter at hand. Now, I'll take that. You can take these berths to your mother in the kitchen. I'll get the dust covers off the car, and this evening, you better put some petrol in and see if you can start the engine.
Yes, sir.
Edith? Dinner.
Just a minute, Mother.
Edith!
How did this happen, Henry?
Uncle George managed to book an earlier steamer.
Oh, dear, how very American. But then, as I remember, Uncle George always was impetuous. How old is he now, dear?
He's 2 years older than Mother.
75, 77. Oh, the slightest little thing could carry him off. I don't imagine he's very strong, do you, dear?
Oh, I shouldn't think so.
Will you be able to do everything as you planned?
Not as I originally planned, no. I'll have to improvise. But I'll manage.
I'm sure you will, Henry. Do you wish to tell me precisely what you're intending?
No. This is my responsibility. You have borne enough. Just one moment, Edith. Perhaps I should say, now that our salvation is in sight, that you have borne all your duties with faithfulness and modesty. In fact, I may not have remarked on this before, but I'm quite pleased with you. On the whole, I have, in our 26 years of marriage, found you entirely suitable. Above all, in spite of financial setbacks and sundry upsets, you have never questioned my authority, nor shown the slightest initiative.
Thank you, Henry.
Constance, do you intend to go to dinner half naked?
Oh, isn't this exciting? Won't it be nice to see Cousin George again? Henry, how long will George be able to stay? Will he be with us for Christmas?
I rather doubt it, Aunt Alice.
Oh, what a pity, and he could have helped us decorate the hall.
Henry, you can't be serious. We're not going through with this mad scheme of yours.
Marjorie, light, amusing conversation during dinner, if you please. Good night, Mother.
I'll take you up, Victoria. Good night.
Oh, Constance, there's a letter here or something for you. Came today.
Father, this letter was posted 10 days ago.
Yes, I know. I shall raise the matter with the post office. Remote we may be here, but I feel under
Oh,
the...
it's from Edward.
Edward?
Yes, you know, Edward Rotherhithe. Oh, you both said I could invite him up here for the weekend.
Yes, we'll discuss that matter later, Constance, whatever it is. The moment your mother's far too busy preparing for Uncle George.
Henry, if I may...
Henry's quite made up his mind, Marjorie. It's no use trying to dissuade him now.
Father would never have allowed anybody, not even a complete stranger, to be treated as shabbily as you propose. Uncle George...
What I'd like to point out, Marjorie, is that times have changed. Our father was never faced, as I am faced today, with ruinous taxation, driven to the brink of desperation, trying my best to maintain this house and my family, cornered by rules and regulations, concocted by incompetent bureaucratic clots, without the dimmest notion of the problem.
Henry.
You know full well, there's something substantial isn't paid on father's death duties by next January.
All I'm suggesting...
I've sold all I can. What more do you want me to do? Throw open Clitterburn Hall to trippers and vulgar sightseers at 2 shillings and 6pence per capita? Have the populace peering at me while I shave? A slack-jawed rabble watching you in your bath?
Don't be vulgar, dear.
Has Albert tried to get a job?
Marjorie, if you're not being facetious, you're being impertinent.
Has he?
No, and he won't. I will not prostitute my son to trade. And he certainly couldn't manage anything else.
But he does so well with his flowers, dear.
Oh, it's all thumbs. The most I can hope for when this business is settled, and there's more to drink in the house, that I can teach you to decant port properly.
Henry, you're missing my point and not considering my feelings at all. There's a right way to do everything.
Well, I quite agree.
Uncle George is very fond of me. I haven't seen him for nearly 30 years. I'd like to get to know him better. Couldn't we possibly wait a week or so?
And find ourselves bogged down in a morass of sentimentality? No.
Then I must take a stand on the basis of taste and manners. I shall leave the house.
Good.
She can't be serious.
Why, of course not. Where would she go?
Henry, I've been thinking, those 2 birds you shot today, there isn't much else. I don't suppose we could have them for dinner tomorrow night.
Let's not lose our heads in a crisis, Edith. Those birds won't be fit for eating till they've hung a good 72 hours.
I just thought I'd ask.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go up, dear.
Mm-hmm.
Good night.
Good night, dear. I didn't hear you come down, Aunt Alice.
You didn't? I know I'm not really supposed to know what's going on, Henry, but I do. I know you've been trying to keep something from me.
You do?
And I think it's very considerate of you, but I do know. Just how much money do you need, Henry? Oh, you needn't tell me if it's a secret, but I am sympathetic about it. Here. It's a checkbook.
Well, it's not mine.
No, it was one of your dear father's. He didn't use them all.
Where did you find this, Aunt Alice?
In the box room this evening. Actually, I was looking for something quite different. I wanted to show Cousin George my souvenirs from the French colonial exposition. They seemed quite good checks.
Thank you, Anna.
I did want to help. You've been so good to me and so kind. Considering I'm only a second cousin, or possibly a third. Good night, Henry.
Madeira Wine Association. 312 guineas.
Father, you remember you said I could invite Edward up here sometime?
Oh, yes, splendid. We'll talk about that later. Bit of a rush at the moment. Got to get Albert off to meet Uncle George. Albert, hurry!
Henry, I wanted to talk to that boy. If I hadn't cried out just then, he'd have charged right into me. He's always doing it. Charging up and down the stairs like a bull in a china shop.
Yes, Mother.
Henry! Henry! Won't Uncle George find it a bit odd and unfriendly being met by just Albert? It doesn't worry you what you think.
Well, it does. But on the other hand, I can't leave Albert to manage things here by himself. He's mechanically incompetent.
I'll have tea ready for you when you've finished, dear.
Yep. Come on, Albert, don't hang about. Here. Now, you're sure you got all this quite straight, Albert?
Yes, sir, I think so.
Well, the point where the car breaks down on the way back is very important, of course. You might tell Uncle George that it happens frequently, which is perfectly true, as you know. Something wrong with the carburetor.
Oh, I rather think it's the ignition.
Well, if you wish, Albert. Anyway, leave the car where it is and start off back for the house. Make sure that Uncle George is ahead of you and takes the shortcut, the path, back through the woods. The moment he starts, up the path, step here to this gap. You've got the scarf, haven't you? Yes, we shall need that in this bad light. Now, you are standing where I can see you. Uncle George is the correct distance in advance. What? Splendid. There's no mistaking that. Well, you better get started. We don't want Uncle George to be up waiting at the station.
Right.
What you reading, Mother? Is it amusing?
The Mutilated Nude.
That sounds nice, dear. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3.
I haven't upset things arriving ahead of time. I'm dying to see your father.
Terribly sorry. Are you all right?
Didn't touch me. It's very careless of me. I shouldn't have been loaded. I wonder what's happened to that other little fellow. Hello? You all right down there?
Yes, quite. I think so, at any rate. But I'm afraid I can't get out.
Terribly sorry about this, old man. My fault.
Not at all. Good job nobody's hurt. I'm afraid I rather lost my way for a moment. I'm looking for Clitterburn Hall.
Oh, well, as a matter of fact, you're nearly there. Actually, I'm Albert Clitterburn.
Oh, how do you do? I'm Edward Rotherhithe. Perhaps Connie's spoken of me.
Yes, I think she has. How do you do? This is my Uncle George. My father's Uncle George, as a matter of fact. He's visiting us from America.
How do you do?
How do you do, sir?
We'll have you out of there in no time. Run and fetch help, Albert. I'll see what I can manage here.
Oh, yes.
Bring a crowbar. You'll also need a block and tackle.
Yes, sir.
Used to be some fine shooting around here when I was a young man. You shoot?
I'm afraid not much.
It's a pity. Seems to be still going on.
Damn.
Oh, bad luck, that. How did it happen?
Can't trust anyone these days. Why'd you signal with the scarf?
Oh, but I didn't.
What?
Oh, sorry. Yes, I suppose I did. I quite forgot.
What was all that firing?
Well, that chap drove us right off the road. The gun that Uncle George had on his lap was apparently loaded.
Uncle George? Is he all right?
Oh, yes, quite.
Well, Albert, you've got us up to a very bad start.
Oh, sorry, Father. That bit of car bother over there upset me.
Well, you better see about your Aunt Marjorie. Anywhere in the woods will do. She was leaving anyway, that's one good thing. I'll go and see about Uncle George.
Yes, sir.
Nice, dear. What does he do?
I don't know what he does. What's he doing here? That's what I want to know.
Now, that was all a simple misunderstanding, dear. Constance was quite upset herself. She did say she tried to tell you Edward was coming.
Oh, I had the whole thing so beautifully worked out. With any kind of normal family cooperation, the whole thing would have been over by now and logically explained. Albert simply can't concentrate.
You mustn't be too hard on Albert, dear. He does his best. Henry, you don't imagine Uncle George has someone in America, someone we didn't know about?
Certainly not, Edith. Why, you shock me.
Exactly how much money does he have?
The better part of $3 million.
We will have to explain about Marjorie, won't we?
Yes, in time, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I do hope it won't be too much trouble for you having to find a new way. If it is, dear, I'll quite understand. We'll manage somehow.
No, I'm not easily put off.
What will you do now, dear? I should prefer no more shooting. Guns are so dangerous.
I'll think of something.
I'm sure you will, Henry.
Uncle George, what on earth are you doing?
I forgot Albert left my things here. I'm hungry, as a matter of fact. Bad American habit I've developed, raiding the icebox in the middle of the night.
What?
Thought I might find some crackers and milk.
Crackers?
I'm afraid there isn't much milk. Can I make you some cocoa?
No, don't bother. I'm sorry I woke everyone up.
Well, good night, Uncle George. All right, Edith. Albert, Constance, you can go to your room. Good night.
You're sure you can find your way, Uncle George?
Oh, I know this house like the back of my hand.
Just what happened, do you know?
Somebody made a speech in Parliament, taxing everything. Then suddenly nobody had any money. Grandfather and Uncle George had some kind of row about it. So Uncle George wanted to go into trade. But Grandfather wouldn't let him do that here. And so off he went and did it in America.
Extraordinary.
I thought he'd be dead by now.
How did he make such a packet of money?
Whatever they do in America. He bought some old land by mistake. They found petrol or something on it, I think Father said.
What an amazing man.
Why?
Well, not everyone would stand up against such enormous difficulties. Preserving the old graces, staunchly devoted to his family, unshakable in the face of...
Are you really interested?
Immensely. Now, Constance, be serious.
But I am being serious.
We've scarcely had breakfast.
What on earth's this?
Oh, Uncle George brought that down this morning. It's his tea.
Tea?
What you do, Uncle George showed me how they do it in America. He quite prefers it this way now, he says. You dip the bag into a cup of hot water. And you control the strength, Uncle George says, by pulling it out by the string at just the right moment.
Poison himself one of these days.
Morning, Mother.
Good morning. Oh, Al. How lovely, how clever of you, dear. Aren't these splendid, Henry?
Oh, Albert, you better get that luggage of Uncle George's moved off the staircase before someone gets killed. Put it in his room.
All of it?
Well, put what you can in his room, but the rest in the box room.
Yes.
Edith, would it be possible to ask Mother to eat a little more quietly?
Mother.
Delicious.
I've told you before, I will not have these dehydrated, crinkly American corruptions in this house. Can't hear oneself think.
I'm sorry, Henry. That's Uncle George's, too. It is better, he says, with milk, but we haven't any milk. I know this is very upsetting for you, dear. But you must try and eat a good breakfast. Have you thought of anything yet, Henry?
No.
This stuff that Albert uses for his flowers, I don't suppose anything like that would do, would it, dear? It seems to work so well on the caterpillars and the squiggly things. I suppose that's because of a spot of arsenic in it or something of the sort, wouldn't you imagine?
Good heavens, what an outrageous idea.
Well, it was your mother's suggestion, actually.
You haven't been discussing this with Mother.
Well, in a way, yes. Yes, I suppose I have. We had a little talk about it when Uncle George went shooting this morning. I thought you wouldn't mind, dear. I thought she might be able to help. She's such a great reader, you know.
No, Edith. I couldn't subscribe to any such scheme. What would you put it in?
Well, in the book your mother's been reading, they do it in tea.
I think it'd quite spoil the taste.
Oh, they say not. They say it goes rather well. And it had occurred to me that since Uncle George is used to those peculiar little tea bags of his, the string must give the tea a rather odd flavor of its own, so perhaps he wouldn't notice a little something else.
No, Edith. It sounds too tricky. Something might easily go wrong again.
What I thought I'd do, dear, and you needn't even know about it, I thought I might put just a little in his hot water jug of tea this afternoon. That way it would be perfectly safe. He'd pour it out himself. He likes to do that, he says. He likes to have it just the right color.
No, definitely not. I find the whole idea effeminate and sly. We'll have to think of something more straightforward.
Well, I just thought I'd mention it.
A great claret, mark you. Just the thing for grouse or pheasant. Now, bring these to the right temperature, and I think you'll see what I mean. Martini's my drink before dinner. There's some scotch up in the box room, if you prefer. Help yourself.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes.
Here we are.
Oh, let me help you.
Oh, thank you, Albert, dear. Put the curate down, Constance. Paste. Now, I have yours here, Uncle George. And his hot water jug. Yes, that's right. No milk for you, Mother? Milk and sugar for you, Edward. That's right, isn't
Perfect,
it?
thank you.
Wonderful. The one thing I've missed, something they don't understand in America, the ritual of tea time. What a splendid, civilized ceremony it can be.
I find it very relaxing.
corruption, people putting tea or whatever it is into those repulsive little things, money grabbers.
I remember the first time I went into a drugstore, in Boston, I think it was, and asked for a pot of tea. Didn't know what to make of it. I'd never seen one of these before. They do have their advantages, though, as I soon found out.
Oh, do stop it, George, or take it somewhere where I can't see you. It's obscene.
Oh, Mother, what a thing to say.
You don't even know what those bags are made of.
Certainly nothing harmful.
Foreign substance, whatever it is, and they're ashamed of what's inside. That's obvious, or they wouldn't truss it up so you can't see it.
Oh, come now, Victoria, I'll make you a little bet. 2 cups side by side. 10 shillings, you can't tell the difference. Taste it.
Oh, I should say not. I've more regard for my health than that. Dregs, I shouldn't wonder. Sweepings off the floor if it's tea at all.
I wonder, could I have a drop of your hot water, sir?
Oh, yes, sir.
I have some here, Edward.
Oh, thank you. Just a little strong for me, sorry.
How stupid of me. I shall know better next time.
This young man, Edwin, or whatever his name is, what's he do?
I beg your pardon?
Mother, that's very rude.
Well, I should like to know if we're going to have him round all the time. Somebody should ask him.
Edward is a gentleman.
Looks like a writer.
Edward is a criminologist.
Oh, how very exciting.
I've never quite understood what that involved. You study crime, do you?
Well, in a way, sir, yes. It's a branch of applied psychology, which is to say we apply psychology to criminal behavior.
Oh, do you write mystery stories?
I'm afraid not, no.
Oh.
I am writing a book at the moment, but it's not fiction. I'm correlating some of the more recent conclusions concerning criminal behavior.
A nap time, Mother?
In the past, a great deal of stress has been laid on the purely financial or economic motives. That is, crime for material gain. That still exists, of course. But the more modern view is that in determining why crimes are committed, one must take into consideration not only profit and greed, but the whole spectrum of social and personality factors as well. Following the directions indicated by Sigmund Freud and others, we must take into account, and we are concentrating now much more, on the influence of the individual ego.
That's very interesting.
Yes. We find that crimes are often committed for no other reason than the desire to satisfy the demands of this ego. In other words, vanity, pride, social position, and so on. Whatever the individual feels he lacks. By digging deeply and not allowing oneself to be too frustrated by individual things, you will find that this is particularly true in the more serious crimes of violence, such as...
Good heavens, what's that?
Sounds like Granny.
How much did you put in of that stuff of Albert's?
3 tablespoonfuls, dear.
Can't understand it. Magnificent in a way, you must admit that. 3 tablespoonfuls and not a quiver. You'd have thought all those years in America would have thinned his blood.
It wouldn't be disrespectful, would it?
No, I don't think so. But isn't it if there was something untimely or tragic about her passing? Old lady, you know, lived a full life.
A picnic would be so nice for Constance and for young Edward. There's not enough courting in the open air in these days.
I'll speak to Henry if you like.
Oh, will you? And then we could ride up along the river to Nettleton Reach.
Used to pick up a nice trout there now and then. I wonder how it is there these days.
We'll ask Henry. He should know.
You'll know what, Aunt Alice? Anybody about?
Where's Henry got to?
He's bringing the boat up, I think, Aunt Alice.
Oh, that's nice. George, I do hope you'll catch a fish.
You got the wrong line there, Albert.
Oh, yes, I do believe you're right. It's a nice rod, Bat.
Here's Henry now.
Oh, Albert, give me a hand with this hamper, will you?
Yes, sir.
Look out there.
Oh, sorry.
Don't be long, dear. Tee up.
Did you hear anything?
Not a thing.
You're quite sure? You were listening carefully?
No, I wasn't, as a matter of fact. Oh, should I have been? Now, I would have thought the point would be that ordinarily one wouldn't be listening too carefully, that if one openly listened,
All right. Now, Albert, this is our best plan so far. I can see nothing against it. It's the most likely sort of accident. Uncle George, keen on fishing. I mean, it'd be very difficult later to reconstruct exactly what did happen.
Before or after tea, do you think?
Well, not before, certainly. We want his tea first. Now, there's nothing to it, providing you can capsize the boat properly. It's an unsteady craft at the best of times. And weighted down as he is with all that gear, he might easily hit his head on the underside. Now, you're quite sure you can manage it?
Oh, yes, I think so, Father.
Fine. Now, you know the largish part of the river, just round the bend? Yes, well, that'll do nicely.
Hear that fellow, Albert? Here, change places with me. Let me have a go at him. I think I can drop a fly in his way. Now, careful. Now, you'll have us both in the water. Here, I see what's the matter. This is yours, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, now, you step through there, and I think we'll both be in the clear.
Well, perhaps if I got round the other side.
Careful. Look out, Albert. Albert. Just a moment, Albert. Here, grab hold of this, Albert. Sorry, slipped. Be with you in a minute.
He's just a little conservative.
So was his mother.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
There was something wrong with her heart then.
That was the general impression.
How old was she actually?
70-something. Oh, come on, let's go for a walk.
What is it, young man? Is something wrong?
Aye.
Uncle George. Had a bit of trouble with the boat, Henry. Albert got a nasty crack on the head.
Look here, what are you doing interfering?
It's a miracle this strong young man was there, or we'd have lost the boy on the spot.
Poor Albert, he's caught a cold.
Let's get him to the car, dear.
Oh, yes, the car.
Better get him up at the house as quick as you can.
Yeah, well, I'll take him.
Good morning, Mrs. Pugh. This is Harold here. I thought I'd better let you know that I shan't be here this afternoon. Up at the church, helping William to ring the bell for Albert Clitterburn's funeral. Oh, but haven't you heard? He died of pneumonia.
I didn't know you were addicted to this sort of thing.
I couldn't sleep.
Glass of milk does it for me. You?
No, thank you.
Cracker?
No, thank you. I'll make some tea.
Connie, sit down. Hold this for me, will you? Thank you. Connie, we haven't had much of a chance to get acquainted. The way things have been going. This business about Albert, you don't feel... Well, you don't hold any of this against me, do you?
No. Oh, may I?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Relieves me to hear you say that. I wouldn't have blamed you in a way. That was a nasty crack on the head I gave him.
Well, you didn't do it on purpose.
Just clumsy.
And besides, I've never heard of anyone getting pneumonia that way.
How's your young man coming along with his criminal, psychological, or whatever it is?
Oh, Edward. Oh, he's all right.
Isn't working too hard, is he?
I don't know.
I can't help noticing his light on most nights when I come down to make my little pilgrimage to the larder. He don't get enough exercise. Should. Young people today haven't got the stamina they used to have. I'll take him out shooting in the morning.
I don't think he'd stand all that banging.
Oh, nothing to it. Do him a world of good. Good night, Connie.
Good night, Uncle George.
Good morning, Henry.
Hadn't had a decent night's sleep since Uncle George arrived. Turning the house upside down, sneaking food at all hours.
Now, that's not quite fair, dear, considering how generous he's been. All those tins of food and things he brought along from America.
Bedlam. He eats enough for 6 people at regular meals. I really don't see the necessity for all this nocturnal prowling.
Yes. Would you mend the stairs, dear? They make such an objectionable noise.
Well, where's the toolbox?
In the box room, dear.
In the box room. No noise on the stairs. The charm of an old house. Nothing but control.
Oh, sorry, Henry. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Now, it's very simple. 1, 2, 3, and a stiff left arm. Oh! Did you get that? Better come with us, Henry. We're taking Edward's car. Thought we'd spend the day up on the moors. Plenty of room.
No, thank you very much. Got things to do.
I told Edith not to save lunch for us, that we'd probably make a day of it. Alice has put us up some nice sandwiches. Come along, Edward.
Oh, Aunt Alice. I wonder if you could find me a spool of silk thread.
Why, yes. Something you want me to mend.
No. Just some silk thread. Not too coarse.
I believe I've just the thing.
realized we're getting so late. Went too far. Birds are rather scarce on the whole today. Well, here, I'll take those if you'll hold these for a moment.
Right along to the kitchen with them while you had them, if you will, my boy. Oh, by the way, I locked the box room door today. Thought it wiser with your guns, rather than not have everyone barging in, you know.
Right, a good idea. Still time for a drink before Edith is ready with dinner, I hope.
Oh, yes.
I see we're getting kind of low on gin. I'll bring down fresh supplies while I'm about it.
George. Did you have a good day?
Yes, thank you.
I should apologize, shouldn't I, for being in your room. It is wrong, isn't it?
Not necessarily. Tell me, you weren't standing there a moment ago, were you, Alice?
Oh, no. I was just taking a shortcut, so to speak.
I see. I'm only curious, mind you, but where did you come from?
You won't tell Henry?
No, if you'd rather I didn't.
All right, then. He'd be very annoyed.
Bloody fantastic.
Come along, George.
Wonderful.
Henry thinks I'm childish.
Good gracious, he doesn't.
Oh, yes, he does. He thinks I'm most peculiar. That's why I must ask you not to say anything to him about all this. He wouldn't believe it anyway, and he'd be very angry with me. You won't tell him, will you, George?
I promise.
Cross your heart?
Cross my heart and spit.
Then I'll show you the rest.
One moment, Alice. While we are here...
Oh. This will be nice and convenient for you now, won't it? Henry doesn't know about this, but this was the way that the third baronet, or perhaps it was the fourth, anyway, Alfred, I think his name was, this was the way he used for his mistresses to come in and out. Much quicker, no doubt. Shall I lead the way now, George?
Yes, please do.
Constance, would it be asking too much for you to sit on the sofa properly and not ride its side saddle?
No one else in the family knows about this?
Oh, no. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone. My nanny asked me not to. You see, it kept me from being underfoot on rainy days. And, as she said, it's decidedly safer than climbing trees. Now come along, George.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, Alice. I had a look at your soul bunting in the dovecot from my window this morning. I do believe she's got a friend.
Oh, do you suppose that's possible? So late in the season as this, are you sure?
Unless I'm seeing double.
Oh, we'll have a little peek in the nest after dinner. Just one little peek won't do any harm. Quietly here now, George.
Dearest, Uncle George is coming down to dinner, isn't he?
Well, I was hoping...
Perhaps I'd better go and...
No. I think we could wait a few more moments.
I'll put the bird back in the oven.
Sir! I was wondering if I didn't owe you an apology, as it were.
Apology? What sort of an apology?
You understand, I hadn't intended staying this long, actually, but I did want to have a bit of a talk with you, sir. On one
A
or two
talk?
matters.
What kind of a talk? Now, stop mumbling, boy.
I should, of course, have mentioned this before, but, well, ever since I arrived here, there's been somehow an extraordinary amount of activity of one sort or another. And I hardly thought at the time, well...
Mind if I come into dinner like this, Henry? Thought it'd be better than keeping Edith waiting.
He doesn't seem to want to listen.
Take your martini.
Where'd you get those, Uncle George?
Oh, up in the box room. There's plenty more where these came from. I'm out of olives, I'm afraid. Edith wouldn't have any, would she?
Olives? No, I don't think she won't.
Pity. You can't make a decent martini without olives. The bartender on the ship coming over made the best martinis I've ever tasted. Wonderful olives. Big ones from California. Had two usually. Olives, I mean. Dry enough for you?
To Albert's geraniums.
I think George did so well with the greenhouse. Considering there wasn't any glass left, I'm going to compliment him. Oh, now I have to play both hands, don't I? And I go first. I remember that.
Oh, bad luck. Henry, don't you think it's time that you and I talk turkey?
What? How's that?
Lay our cards on the table.
I don't think I know what you mean, Uncle George.
Well, I'm beginning to be a bit disturbed by the way things have been going here since my arrival.
What are you suggesting, Uncle George?
I don't really know. I really don't. But look here, Henry, we can't go on like this, can we? It just won't do. We are rapidly decimating the entire Clitterburn family. Henry, there's one thing I think I should tell you. I came here with every intention of dying in this house.
I had more or less the same idea myself.
I've given it considerable thought, and as much as I'd like to stay, I think it's for the best. I don't understand it myself. Perhaps I've lived too long in America. But I'm clearly a disturbing influence. I'll pack in the morning if that's convenient.
Uncle George, look here, this is absolute nonsense. I won't hear of it. You're not leaving this house, do you understand? If necessary, I shall use force to detain you.
So virginal. Edward, I want to ask you something. What's the matter with you?
Matter with me?
Well, you weren't like this in Manchester.
That was different. It was raining.
Come in.
Oh, did you hear it too, George?
No, what?
I think I know what it is. I think it's Frobisher's great northern doomsday owl.
Oh, yes, I heard that.
Oh, they're very rare now. Did I wake you up, George?
No, not at all. I'm delighted. I was just about to pop down and see what I could find in the icebox. Rare, are they?
Oh, yes. It's years since they've been as far south as this. Shall we have a look at it, if we can?
I'll get my coat.
George, are you all right?
Henry? do a shocking thing like that. What possible reason could he have?
I can prove beyond any doubt not only the motive, a motive frequently overlooked, but in each case the opportunity as well to commit a...
What's the meaning of this? What's my daughter doing in your room at this hour of the night? And never mind, I'll hear the explanation in the morning. There's no time now. There's been an accident. Someone's had rather a bad fall. And it must be your mother. What's that?
Scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs? Constance? I think we should discuss your relationship with Edward, if you feel up to it.
There isn't any.
What? Isn't any what?
Any relationship to discuss. He's gone.
Ah, splendid. I shan't pretend I found him entirely suitable for you, Constance. Frankly, I'm relieved for a number of reasons. You'll be taking on more responsibility, for one thing, now that your mother's gone, and he was a bore for another. When did he go?
During the night, or early this morning sometime. I don't know. He's crazy.
Ah, well, let's not brood about it. A quick break's the best thing.
He's morbid. All he thinks about is crime. He sees crime everywhere. He thinks grandmother was murdered. Well, he thinks something happened to Aunt Marjorie, too.
Happened? And what did he think happened to Aunt Marjorie?
That she was the victim of foul play. He thinks there was something wrong with Albert's death.
There was nothing wrong with Albert's death. He was careless, that's all. He died of pneumonia.
Well, that's what I told him. Oh, he's crazy. He has all these theories. He thinks that when Uncle George came here...
Yeah, Constance, I take a very serious view of what you just told me. Frankly, I find Edward not only a fool, but a dangerous man. You don't suppose that he discussed this with anyone, do you?
Well, discussed it with me.
Yes, that's obvious. Where did he go?
Who cares? Home, I suppose. He lives with his mother.
Well, I mustn't dawdle here all morning. One or two things I ought to see to.
Father, do you want to know what Edward really thinks? Father?
I suggest we proceed with the utmost caution, Inspector, in case he tries to make a dash for it.
This is a serious charge you're making, young man, against a fine family, considerable prestige. I can't believe...
Precisely, Inspector. I found it incredible myself. And then I suddenly realized that I was making a fundamental error. Suddenly I saw what he was after, the one thing essential to his well-being. Prestige, as you so rightly put it. And then I saw how clearly he was trying to get rid of everybody in his path, making each death appear quite accidental.
Well, I'll have a little chat with him.
Good morning, Edward. I hope you slept well. This is Mr. George Clitterburn.
How do you do, sir?
How do you do?
Oh, Edward, I don't think I've met your friend.
Well, I'm sorry to be abrupt. It's rather urgent. I'm Deputy Inspector Harris.
Oh, then that means you're from the police.
Constance, I think after all these little upsets these past few weeks...
Who's that outside?
Outside? Oh, Aunt Alice and Uncle George.
Oh, I thought I heard a car.
A car?
Where did you go when you left the table? Oh, 1 minute you're here.
The next minute I'm there, I know. Look, Constance, as I was saying, I think after all these little upsets these past few weeks, I'm entitled to a holiday. So, I shall be going away for a while.
Going away? Where?
Well, I rather thought one of the colonies, while we still have some. Anyway, it's all really a question of extra... somewhere where I can't be got at. Yes, I think I'll pack right away. Oh, where's my big suitcase, do you know?
In the box room, I suppose.
In the box room, I suppose. Yes. Well, goodbye for now. Take care of yourself and give my love to the other. Yes.
Coming now to the precise method used in this particular case, may I draw your attention to Exhibit G? I will now ask the officer to show the gun to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. It is a 12-bore shotgun of American manufacture, found, as has already been described in detail, fastened in a mechanic's vise. Its position, the manner in which it was arranged, has established beyond any possible doubt, I believe, that this weapon did indeed cause the violent death of Sir Henry Clitterburn. We will now try to have it identified by the witness and establish officially the matter of ownership.
The coroner would like you, if you can, to identify the gun. Sorry, I didn't realize it was a question. It's my favorite gun, as a matter of fact. Made for me by a chap in St. Louis, Missouri. You'll find his initials on the stock, I believe. Native black walnut. Lovely wood. A bit too heavy for the kind of shooting we have around here for the most part.
Thank you, Mr. Clitterburn. I shall call you again later. But for the moment, if the officer will replace the exhibit...
Mr. George Clitterburn insisted on preparing his own tea from a private source. He attempted to persuade Lady Clitterburn Senior to taste this tea. She refused. But I believe it quite possible that he changed the teacups.
Good heavens.
And you wish to comment on that, Mr. Clitterburn? You may, if you wish. On the other hand, you needn't.
No, sir. Thank you. I don't believe I will.
Yes, I'm quite sure of that. George removed the ladder while Henry was on the roof fixing the chimney. And, well, of course, I know it's the wrong time of year, but there's a searle bunting nesting in the old dovecot, and George and I wanted to have a better look to see if there was anything we could do for it.
Thank you, Miss Clitterburn. We will now hear Mr. William Gilrooney. Having been struck over the head with this oar, Albert Clitterburn could easily have drowned had you not intervened. Does that sum up your opinion, Mr. Gilrooney?
Oi.
You're quite sure, are you, that it was George Clitterburn you saw deal the blow?
Oi.
Having met to inquire into the violent deaths of Marjorie, Victoria, Albert, Edith, and Sir Henry Clitterburn, and having established, if you are of the opinion, on the basis of the various evidence and sworn testimony you've heard here, that these deaths were indeed violent and malicious, then you may now, among you, taking into consideration all additional pertinent evidence, come to one of two possible conclusions. A verdict against a person or persons unknown not here present, or be forced to a verdict against a person or persons known present in this room, to be then remanded into custody for trial at the next assizes of this county.
May I ask a question? Does that mean you want to have George tried for murder?
Well, yes, as a matter of fact, it does.
Oh, you mustn't do that.
Aunt Alice, please.
This inquiry has been concluded, Miss Clitterburn. I'm afraid.
I've been listening very carefully, I think. I am so sorry, Edward. It was very clever of you. You've explained it all most clearly, but you see, you've got everything quite backwards, you know. George wasn't trying to kill anyone at all. It was Henry who was trying to kill George.
Good heavens, Alice, you can't mean that.
Oh, yes, he was.
Miss Clitterburn.
Yes, you see, Henry needed money for taxes and all sorts of odds and ends. I heard him explaining it all to Marjorie one day when I was in the West Wall.
I beg your pardon, when you were where?
In the West Wall, the first time. The other time, to be quite truthful, I was in Henry's wardrobe. Oh, and Albert tried to help too, and so did Henry's mother. She suggested poisoning you, so you needn't feel responsible. Henry got very discouraged. You know how it is when nothing seems to go right. All sorts of little accidents.
Now, just a moment, Miss Clitterburn. If you were so sure of this, why didn't you tell the police?
Tell the police? Oh, I couldn't do that. I wasn't supposed to know about it, really. And besides, since there's never been the slightest breath of scandal about the family, I decided it would be very much better not to tell anyone anything at all about what Henry was trying to do.
Sir, Mr. Gilrooney here seems to have remembered something that may support Miss Clitterburn's testimony.
All right, one at a time. This is very irregular.
But surely, knowing his life was in danger, didn't you at least warn him?
George? Oh, I didn't want to upset George. Not on his first trip to England in 30 years. He was having such a good time. You're not leaving, are you, George?
There. You don't mean that Henry was really as desperate as all that?
There was nothing else he could do. There wasn't anything more he could sell, and oh, I don't know how much is due in taxes next month.
Good heavens, I didn't realize. All he had to do was ask. I could have tided him over. Why didn't he say something?
He didn't want to impose on you, George. I'm sure that was why. You see, Henry always had a great sense of responsibility. He wanted to do it his way.
You won't go too far, will you, sir? The coroner's called for an adjournment. We'll sort this out one way or another, I think.
Now, George, you don't want to catch cold after all this bother. You come in and have one of those nice Martins or whatever it is you like to drink. It'll do you good.
Before we go any further, lest you forget, Noel Hood, Athene Seiler, Kenneth Fortescue, yes, Wendy Hiller, Anthony Newley.
Just a moment.
Trevor Reed, Cyril Luckham, Patricia Webster, Michael Caine, aye, Charles Coburn, Uncle George,
to us.
Cheers.